Good morning. Today we will discuss introduction to R. R is a pre-software programming language and software development for statistical computing and graphics. It is similar to the S programming language developed at AT&T Laboratories. R is initially developed by Ross and Robert Gentleman in 1996 for the University of Auckland, New Zealand. R source code is written in C, Fortran and also in R. Following are the statistical feature of R provides the very good graphical techniques. It provides linear and non-linear modeling, classical, statistical test. It also provides time series analysis, which is useful for statistical analysis. R also provide the classical classification library, just like a regression and tree algorithm. R also is used for clustering and it is useful in machine learning. Also R also provide different kind of functions and predefined method and library for machine learning. Following are the feature of a programming feature of a R. R is an interpreted language. Interpreted language means there is no need of a compiler, but what kind of a command we write or automatically understand and interpret them. Access R through command line interpreter like MATLAB and support matrix arithmetic data structure. There are a different data structure which are used in a R like vector, matrices, array, data frame and list. We will discuss in the slide. Advantages of R. R is the most comprehensive statistical analysis packages available. Outstanding graphical like capabilities. R provide different kind of graphical tools like Plotly, ggplots, which are very useful for graphics. R is an open software and it is reviewed by the expert. Open source means it is easily available and we can download it and work on it. There is no license fees for R. R is free and no license is licensed under the GNU. R has over 6,000 package as as of May 2014. R is a cross platform. It means we can execute the R program in Linux, Mac, and Windows. R play with different dataset like CSV, SAS, SPARS, Excel, SXS, Oracle, MySQL, and SQLite. Other language, R is also used variable. With the variable, R used data type, conditional statement, operators, loops, strings, and functions. Today we will discuss all these options. So what is variable? Variable are nothing but reserved memory location to store the value. This means that when you create a variable, you reserve some space in the memory. Like x is equal to 15, y is equal to hello, and v is equal to true. It's nothing but what we are doing. We are storing a value in a memory. So when we declare x is equal to 15, x occupy a space or block in the memory. Like that, y is also occupy the space in the memory. Same thing with the v. V is a logical variable which store the value in the memory and occupy the space in the memory. So what we do, we storing these variables, what we need a data type. So what is a data type? Data type is a programming language in which we classify that and specify which type of a value a variable has and what type of a mathematical relation or logical operator can be applied to it without causing an error. For example, now x is equal to 15. It means x is equal to integer. It means it stores the numeric value without decimal, and it occupy the space in the memory according the data type size. Same thing with the y and same thing with the v. In the block, what we are in this slide with y is equal to 3.14 is also considered as a numeric. So integer and numeric is of both are the different. Integer is with value with non-decimal and numeric is a value with the decimal. Same thing with the v, which store the value as a logical value. So we consider that data type is a boolean. Component of our variable. there are a different kind of component of a variable. When we define a variable, we specify the name to the variable, and it occupies space in the memory address, which is in the form of a hexadecimal. Every variable has a value, and it stores the value of its according to its nature. If we specify the data type integer, it stores the value in integer value without decimal. If specify be numeric, it stores the value in a decimal. And same thing we can do with characters and boolean data types. So data type also play the major role to the with variables. We can specify different data types to the variable. So data type R support different kind of a data type. It support atomic data types. Yeah, we can say that scalar data type, and it's also used objects data type. In scalar data type, we use numeric, integer, character, and logical. So what is numeric? Numeric is a data type. Numeric is a data type which is used to store the numeric value. So in this slides, what we are doing, we are declaring a variable in R. So R is not using specific data type. Interpreter automatically understand what kind of a the data type. In following example, what we are doing, we are storing a three value in a radius variable. So radius is a variable, and we are specify the value to radius equal to 3. That value is considered as a numeric value, and we are specifying the value to the pi also of 3.14. So how we can declare the variable in R? So this is the example of a R, declaring a variable in R. For example, how we can declare a numeric variable in R? Number, in the following example, what we are doing, we are declaring number 1 is equal to 3.5 and number 2 is equal to 3. So here we do not declare any variable data type specify, but all are also automatically consider its data type. So when we want to check the data type, we use class function like this. When we specify class number 1, it returns numeric. It means this data type is considered as a numeric data type. Same example with the number 2, which is decimal plates without decimal. When we declare class number 2, it also returns number 2. We can also check the data type is numeric with the help of a is numeric function. When we specify is numeric function number 1, it returns true. It means our interpreter consider that this number is a numeric. Same thing we do with the help of with number 2 is numeric number 2. It also return the true value. It means it specified both number are considered numeric data types. Integer data type. So integer data type is a different data types which store the value without number. But in this example, what we do with number 1 is equal to 3, number 2 as integer 3, class number 2, it return numeric, class number 2 return integer, because we convert that number 1 into we convert number 3 as a numeric. Is integer number 1, we are checking it return the false because that data type is considered as a numeric. We check same thing we do with the number 2. When we use is integer number with number 2, it return true because we convert that number with as integer method into integer. Character data type. Character is a data type which is used to store letters, words, and group of a character. Following is the example of a character data type. First name is Jovial and second name is Man. So when we check that data type of that character data type with the help of a class function, it return the character. Same thing with the last name, it return the character. So when we check with the is character method, it return true with both variables. Logical variable are those variables which store the value in the true or false value. So as logical 1 is return true, as logical return 0 return false, as numeric true 1, as numeric false. So all is also consider or store the object data types. These are the 5 object data type: vector, matrix, array, list, and data frame. So what is a vector? Vector is a sequence of data element of the same basic data type. There are 5 atomic vector also considered as a 5 classes of a vector. So what is a vector? Vector is a group of elements which contain homogeneous elements. So what we do, we divide the vector into 5 different category or atomic vector, like logical vector which store the true and false value, integer vector which store the integer value like 15L, 30L and 699L, numeric vector which store the numeric value with decimal and without decimal. Complex vector is which is used to store the complex value in the vector. Vector is used to character data. We can also store different kind of a different atomic vector into single vector. That vector is considered as a string vector. Matrix are the object which are the element arranged in a two-dimensional rectangle layout. Following the syntax of a matrix, we store the matrix with the help of a matrix function in which specify 4 parameters. First one is the data, which is the input vector, which becomes the data element of the vector. Normally in matrix what we store vector. It can be range vectors, it can be sequence vector, or it can be character vectors. Second parameter is a n row is the number of row to be created. Third is n column is the number of column to be created. By row is a logical clue. If it is true, then it input vector element arranged by row. With the help of a by row, what we do, we specify that a matrix will hold the value as by row or by column. Dim name is a name to assign the row and column. We can specify name to row and column with the help of a by dim name. Array. Array are the data objects which are stored data in more than 2 dimensions. Following the syntax of array, first parameter is the data which we are passing into the vector, and second is a dim dimension, how many dimensions we are creating the array, and third one is dim name. Dim name is used for specifying the dimension name to the array. Lists are the object which contain elements of different type like numbers, strings, vectors, other list inside it. So as we know, vector store the homogeneous elements, matrix store the homogeneous elements, array store the homogeneous elements, list store the different heterogeneous elements. It means what we can do, we can store in list numbers, strings, vectors. We can also store list inside list. Following with the example of the list. Data frame. Data frame is a table of two-dimensional array-like structure in which in which we, in which each column contain values of one variable and each row contain one set of a value. We can create data frame with the help of a data frame method, and we can specify the data. It can be vectors or it can be heterogeneous elements. Thank you.